the betterment of Indian cricket is more important. Gautam Gambhir is not important. I think if all of us have our heart in the right place, and if we all of us think that Indian cricket needs to move forward, for that I think all of us are on the same page. So really enjoyed so far working with him, and hopefully I can continue the same in future as well.
Either of you can answer it or both. As players, both of you suffered from selectorial apathy at times and bounced back magnificently. In this case, players like Sanju, Abhishek, and Rutu being omitted from certain squads. Were they spoken to, and how would you put an arm around their shoulder, and because they would obviously feel a little bit hard done by.
I mean, every player who's left out feels hard done by. Our challenge is to pick only 15. You try and get the best balance possible. So someone's likely to miss out. Sometimes they've had some decent performances in recent times, but you've got to see who's picked ahead of them. I mean, are those guys not deserving of their place? If that's the thing, then there is things to discuss. But at this stage, we had an opportunity to give some of those guys, a go in the Zimbabwe series, which was good. So we have enough depth. If tomorrow there's loss of form from the players that are playing or there are injuries, but it's tough. Rinku, for no fault of his, missed out from the World Cup. It's an example. He had a terrific T20 leading up to the World Cup, but it's sometimes just the way it goes. Unfortunately for us as well, it's difficult to fit everyone in the 15. And as tough as it is for the player, that's generally a life of a player. Yeah? That's why when you get an opportunity, you try and put up performances. So as soon as somebody who's ahead of you is not quite up to the mark or there's an injury there, you're ready to pick. And you could take a lot of names. You've taken 3 names, but there are a lot of names. And it's tough on them, but that's just the reality. Yeah? We can only pick 15.
What about Ravindra Jadeja and Korea? Is he not going to be the part again or like this yesterday?
Yeah, I think it would have been really, pointless to take both him and Akshar for this short series. We know what Jaddu's done. He's had a terrific World Cup, 50-over World Cup. So, no, not at all dropped. I think all options are open, but either of them wouldn't have played all 3 games if we'd taken both. That was the thing. There's a big test season coming up where he's likely to feature in a lot of the tests out of that. So, I don't think 3 games would have mattered. I think we probably should have clarified that after the selection that he's not been dropped. He's still within the scheme of things and very important as a player.
I have a question for each of you. Gautam, you mentioned that you're taking over a successful team. The fact that in the next less than 12 months now, you're going to play 10 important test matches and the Champions Trophy. How do you balance it out while starting your sprint, considering the challenges and
That would have always been a challenge, because when you take over in all the 3 formats, and more importantly that after the Sri Lanka tour we got a long break, we got a month break, and then we've got 10 test matches. I think that's not bad, because then you're playing continuously those 10 test matches. Is a big tour of Australia coming up as well. But then again, I think that is what challenge is all about, and more importantly really excited about it, and hopefully we can do really well in those 10 test matches. And the chairman has already said it that some of the players who did miss out on this tour to Sri Lanka, because there are 10 test matches and someone like Ravindra Jadeja is very important for all those 10 test matches. So yes, I think really looking forward to all those 10 test matches.
you mentioned the reasons for looking beyond Hardik as T20 captain. You were not around personally when he was handed over the charge, but some of the members were former. So in that sense, was it a unanimous decision to kind of look at other options, and what signal does it send to the larger picture that you can't really as a player?
Yeah, I don't think any player takes it for granted anyway. Every time you try and play, your place is on the line, you want to perform. These discussions don't happen overnight. We sort of discussed them through the last few months leading up to the World Cup as well. So, these chats had happened before as well, and it's not an overnight thing where you just decide that someone should be captain or shouldn't be captain. There's obviously a lot of thought goes in. You get a lot of feedback from the dressing room as well. what sort of qualities that you're looking for. And I mean, the biggest thing is the captain should be on the park more often than not. I mean, that's a prerequisite really. And hopefully, Surya does that. And so far, there's never been a concern with his T20 batting anyway.
A couple of senior players that you're working with are Rohit and Virat. With Rohit being appointed the captain of the WTC, how much quality cricket is left in the two of them in the
Look, no, I think they've shown what they can deliver on the big stage, whether it was the T20 World Cup, in the 50-over World Cup as well. See, one thing I can be very clear of, I think both those guys have got a lot of cricket left in them. And more importantly, with Champions Trophy and a big tour of Australia, obviously they would be motivated enough because, and then hopefully if they can keep their fitness, 2027 World Cup as well. But this is a very personal decision. I can't say how much cricket is left in them. Ultimately, it's up to them as well. It's up to the players. How much can they contribute in the team's success? Because ultimately, it's the team that is important. But looking at what Virat and Rohit can deliver, I think they still have a lot of cricket. And they're still world-class players. And obviously, any team would want to have both of them for as long as possible.